Okay, we're here in the second part of the tutorial. In this episode, we're going to be adding the punching animations as a montage and also showing how to set up a bigger collision box so you don't have to be as precise with your melees. Alright, we're going to be using the Mixamo animations, and I'm doing this so that everybody who's watching can follow along because these are free. And just like my other tutorial, we're going to be using the Terribility Studio software. So let's actually download this first. Okay, let's download it. And don't forget that the password is here. Okay, we'll extract here, enter the password. Okay, and here is our software. Okay, and I already have this set up, but I'll do it again just so you can see. You want to upload your the skeleton included here into Mixamo. So I'll just go ahead and hit upload character, drag and drop that. Okay, now that it's done, I'm just going to go ahead and hit next, and let's search for a punching animation. This one looks pretty good. Alright, I'm just going to download it. Okay, now that it's downloaded, I actually want to show you guys how to set up different types of melee attack. So I'm actually going to do a punch left and right, so I'm just going to mirror it and download it. Alright, so here's our two animations here. Let's go ahead into our downloads folder here. I'm just going to rename this one to punch right, and then the other one to punch left. Alright, I'm going to highlight them, Control X, and put them into my initial folder in the converter. And we can go ahead and open up the converter and just push this button. Okay. So we'll go into the complete folder, and here we have our new punch animations. So let's just go back into our project. I'll go ahead and import. I'll import these two. You want to select the UE4 mannequin skeleton. Do it again for the other one. Alright, so here you have your punch right and our punch left. And you want to change the root motion setting so that it doesn't control the movement of your character. And you could do this by checking the force root lock and then select animation first frame. So I'll do that for both. Okay. And then let's go ahead and select both of these and create a animation montage. And I'll rename this one to punch R montage. And I'll rename this one to punch L montage. Okay, so now within these montages, you want to make a new slot to play them on. So I'll add group. I'll call this combat, and then add slot punch. Alright, and then we'll just select it to play on the combat.punch track. Let's go ahead and set this in our left. Alright, now we are pretty much good to go. So we're going to go ahead and find our animation graph. By default it's mannequin animations, and let's open this up. And this is the good part about using montages, is that you don't have to deal with the state machines like this. You can just play it over whatever animation state, or you can just play it over whatever state machine you're working with. So I'm just gonna drag off this and type montage. So here is the slot that we're doing it over. So whatever's playing here is going to override the state machine. Let's go ahead and select combat.punch. And that's all we need to do here for now, and we'll come back to this later, so leave it open. We can close out the HUD though. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to set up basic replication of montages so that it plays for everybody in your session. So I'll make a new custom event. We'll call this server play montage. And then we'll just make a new custom event and call it multicast play montage. Set this to multicast, reliable, server reliable. Make sure you have authority pin running off of this. Okay, and we're going to, from our multicast, we're going to play montage, play anim montage, and we want this to be dynamic. So let's go ahead and make this an input pin on our multicast so we can play whatever montage we want. And then from the server play montage authority pin, we can call the multicast play montage. And let's go ahead and add an input pin to this as well. Okay, so that's all set up. Let's go ahead and figure out our punching logic. So there's two different animations you want to play. The basic idea that I like to use is a flip-flop. And what this does is it'll flip between A and B so that you can have two actions that it's like a light switch, basically. It's the best way I can describe it. The first thing we always want to be calling this line trace though whenever we punch. So we're gonna have that going first. And then we're going to go ahead off the A pin, we'll play montage from the server, and we'll start with punch right, copy and paste that, and then over here we'll do punch left. Okay, and that should be good to go. So whenever we punch, it'll play the animation montage and also damage. Okay, so you could finish here, but there's a few more polishing options that I'd like to show you to make the whole system a lot better. The first thing that you'll notice is that you can just spam left click and it'll make them go all wonky. So I'm gonna make it so that you have to wait for the animation to finish. And we're gonna do that by using a gate. And gates are really, really useful when you want to stop a certain action from happening. So the action that we want to stop from happening is spamming the montage. So right after we play it, we want to close it and then and then wait a certain amount of time, and then we can open it. So if you want to call two actions like that, we use something called a sequence. So the first thing you want to do in your sequence after the animation plays is you want to close the gate. I'm going to double click the wire here to make a reroute node just to make it look a little bit neater. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is close it. Also uncheck this start close box. And then the second thing we want to do is we want to run a delay. We'll just have this for, I guess, we'll call this 0.6 seconds. This is just however long you want to wait until you can punch again. Okay, so once that delay is over, then we can open up the gate again and allow you to punch again. I'll make some more reroute nodes. Okay, could be neater, oh well. Okay, that is all we need there. So you'll notice that you can't spam it anymore. You have to wait 0.6 seconds before you can punch again. So it makes the animation a lot less janky. So now that we've added a delay, one more thing I want you to take note of is that when you're walking around, your legs automatically use whatever animation the montage is. So we can fix this by splitting up the body between upper and lower body parts so that the animation will only play on the upper body. And we can do this by right-clicking in our anim graph and type layered blend per bone. So this splits the skeleton into however many bones you want, and you could play animations on different bones. Before I start connecting that up, I'm going to drag this up here, and I'm going to create a new cached pose. And cached poses allow us to basically copy and paste whatever this state machine is multiple times. The reason why you want to use a cached pose is because it uses a lot less memory, both storage and RAM, and you just have less going on in your blueprint graph. So you want to use cached poses as much as possible. You only want you basically don't want any duplicate state machines. You only want one state machine for whatever action that is. So I'm gonna just call this default. Let's go ahead and hook this layered blend per bone into the result. And this animation slot is going to go on the bottom, blend pose is 0. And then from the source, we can just get our cache pose default. And we're actually going to want that for the other one as well. So I'm going to copy and paste that. And within our layered blend per bone, we want to add the spine as the bone to split it by. So when we add the spine, it tells the game that we want to split the animations from the spine above and the spine below, depending on whatever these are hooked up to. So I'm going to open this thing up, add an array element, and then bone name, we'll put spine underscore 01. Blend depth is how much to blend it by. We're just going to go 1, so it's either it either animates it or not. If you had something lower like 0.5, it would only blend it like half as much, which obviously wouldn't look good for this, but might be useful for you later. We're going to check mesh space rotation blend, and then you can leave this curve blend option to whatever. I like to use max value, just because it makes everything a lot more snappy and it just feels a lot cleaner. Okay, so now if we test it, you'll see that he can still walk around. His legs are moving perfectly fine while he's punching. You can jump and punch. Yeah, so everything just looks a lot better with your movement. Okay, the last little thing that we're going to change here, you don't have to do this. What we're going to be doing is making a sphere trace instead of a line trace, and that way whenever you punch, it's not a line, it's going to be a whole sphere, so that you don't have to be as accurate. Because right now, if I can be right up next to him, but I'm looking in the wrong direction, I can punch, it's not going to damage him. I have to hit him with that perfect raycast. And that just functionally doesn't really work with melee. So we're going to actually, let's duplicate our line trace. You can keep that. We're just going to call this sphere trace. In this line trace by channel, we can just delete it. We're going to right click and add sphere trace by channel. And don't forget to set trace channel to camera. We can trace complex here. And for now, we can draw it for 5 seconds just to see what it looks like. So we're going to change some stuff here, but I just want to show you what it looks like now. You can hook up the addition to the end pin and then this get world location to the start. And for the radius, let's just set it to 50 for now. That's a good number I like. And let's actually make sure it's using this function here in the server line trace. We're going to delete this, drag in our sphere trace, and plug in everything that we had before. Okay, so right now you see that it actually makes more of a capsule instead of a sphere. But one thing that's really weird is that it's really long, and it also starts from really far away. So if you position yourself right, you can actually damage this guy from behind because of how far away it starts. And we fix that by going back into our sphere trace function, and instead of getting the world location of the follow camera, we're going to delete that and get the world location of our camera boom. And if you don't know what a camera boom is, if we go into our viewport, it's basically what connects the camera to our character from far away, and it makes everything basically look smooth. But it's centered here at the character instead of super far away from where the camera is. And that's also, I don't know if you noticed, but the range was pretty high. Let's just go ahead and turn this down to, say, 200. Yeah, so that looks a lot better. This way it starts from the center of the character instead of super far away. And you don't have to be very accurate with it, which is, in general, how a melee should work. Let's make sure it works on the client. Okay, yeah, everything's looking good. One very last note, you can change this radius to be something like 100, and that'll basically make the whole area that it checks a lot wider. I wouldn't go this wide, but yeah, it depends on your game. And you could also use this for something like sword combat. If you wanted, you could drag this radius into an input pin for the sphere trace. So whenever you call it, say you wanted to do a certain size, if you were carrying a sword, then maybe you want something like super high, like 300. So he would damage everybody in this area here. But yep, I'm just going to leave it at 50 now, and that should be everything. So thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I hope you enjoyed. And yeah, expect some more tutorials in the future. Thanks.